And welcome back to the Busy Fan. The NBA playoffs plus playing games are set, so we'll go over that. We'll tell you what matchups we're looking for and what this playing game will really look like. We also got some FCS college football action. If you missed out this year, you really did miss out. Let me tell you about it. All right, let's start with the most important thing. What matters the most is the play-in tournament. We'll go over some of the scores and everything in a second, but this is what we're looking at right now. This is how the playoffs are looking. We have the Jazz. They locked up the 1 seed yesterday. The Suns in the 2 seed. In the East, we got Philadelphia in the 1 seed and Brooklyn in the 2 seed. But right here, it shows the play-in tournament. And what's going to happen here is the 7th and 8th seed, they'll play each other. The winner of that will be the 7th seed. The loser goes on and faces the winner of the 9th and 10th seed, and they'll move on and face the Jazz. So, this is how the play-in tournament is looking. This is how the NBA playoffs are going to look. The most impressive thing about this, you'll notice the Clippers are the 4 seed right here. So they're over here. That is because they are assuming the Lakers are going to win this game right now, which we'll see is definitely not a gimme because Steph Curry is playing out of his mind right now. But they're assuming the Lakers are going to win this and go here. The Clippers made sure that they stay as far away from the Lakers as possible by getting here. And let me show you how they did that. So that was honestly the most impressive thing that happened this week was the Clippers losing to Oklahoma City and the Rockets, two terrible teams, especially the Rockets, like one of the worst teams in the NBA. The Clippers lost to both of them. And not only did they sit their best players, which, that's usually how you tank, but once they sat their best players, the people that were in, the Rajon Rondos of the world, were still better than the other team. So they worked hard to tank. Very impressive by the Clippers that they were able to get away from the Lakers this way and lose to two terrible teams to end the season. So that was the most impressive thing that I saw this week was their awful losses. They're able to avoid the Lakers in the playoffs going forward. We'll go and look at the scores here real fast. We got the Lakers beat the Pelicans. This was, if the Lakers won and the Trailblazers lost, the Lakers could have avoided that play-in game, but the Trailblazers won anyway. So the Lakers won this game pretty easily, handled the Pelicans basically most of the game. The storyline, though, and the scary thing was at the end of the game, LeBron tweaked his ankle a little bit, and, he's been having ankle problems, been sitting out for several games at this point. So that's a concern for the Lakers. Everyone said he's going to be fine. And it was one of those tweaks where it happens to all of us, you just roll it a little bit. So it wouldn't be a concern if he hadn't already been dealing with it all year. But because of that, definitely a concern for the Lakers going forward. We got the Jazz locked up that 1 seed. They beat the Kings 121-99. They started off a little slow, but the Jazz obviously ended up dominating this game. The Kings sat most of their players because their season was over. It was impossible for them to make the playoffs. So it was an easy win for the Jazz there. Like I said, the Trailblazers beat the Nuggets, so they made sure they were out of that play-in game, made themselves safe there. The Bulls beat the Bucks again. Very impressive. The Clippers were able to lose to the Thunder. A real tank job from the Clippers there. We got the Heat over the Pistons. The Nets beat the Cavs, which was an easy game because the Cavs are really bad, but it was needed for the Nets so they could avoid the 3 seed, stay at the 2 seed. So, and then the 76ers had that 1 seed in the East. They won 128-117. The Warriors beat the Grizzlies 113-101. So, as you know, they will now be facing the Lakers in the play-in game. But much needed from them. Some of the highlights from those, LeBron went for 25 points, so it was very good and promising for Lakers fans to see LeBron coming back after so much time off and, not missing a beat, coming back and scoring a ton of points and everything, being the LeBron that they know and the LeBron that they're going to need in the playoffs here. But that rolling the ankle was definitely concerning. We already talked about the Trailblazers winning. The Warriors, Steph went out for 46. Steph is unbelievable this season. After the Lakers game, LeBron said he thinks Steph is the MVP this season. And I think a lot of people are in that same boat there thinking Steph. It looks like it's going to be Jokic, but it sounds like a lot of the players are rooting for Steph to win MVP this year. And, we talked about the Clippers and their impressive tank job. Now, one more thing. I mentioned FCS football. So this weekend, I watched the championship, or I watched at least the end of the championship between South Dakota State and Sam Houston, the Bearcats. This game was super exciting. I only caught the end of it, but the Bearcats scored with like 16 seconds left to put themselves up. They were down by 4, so they needed a touchdown. Drove down the field, scored with 16 seconds left to get the lead, and then held on to it for the rest of those 16 seconds. So I really enjoyed watching FCS football this year. The problem is it's not promoted, especially with all the important NBA games going on. So it's kind of hard to like stumble upon. A lot of times I forget about it. But if you didn't have a chance, I would recommend watching FCS football going forward. Shout out to Sam Houston for winning. And thank you for giving me a show. I've missed football. I've missed college football. And so I really appreciate being able to watch that game there, or that several games there. I watched a lot of the playoffs there. Then finally, let's go over some baseball scores. Just take a look here at teams that you care about. Make sure you don't miss anything. Whatever's your local team is probably people are going to be talking about. I will say baseball news. So Albert Pujols was recently released from the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and it's kind of like a pretty bitter breakup. He was pretty upset about it. He felt like he should have been able to go out on his own terms because of the career that he's had and everything. But he was just signed by the Los Angeles Dodgers, so not going very far at all. Stay with the Dodgers for the remainder of this season at least. So there you go. There's your sports news. Thanks for being a busy fan, and thanks for watching.
This is real life, little home, that's why I stayed down. I done came up off that boy, look what I made now. Like Nike, I just